Hello, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ko-Morbid. Welcome back. We had a little hiatus over the Christmas break so we could recalibrate and come back this year with lots of amazing content and some great discussions. I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Dominique.
We had a bit of debate actually over what to do in February because I wanted to do a wonderful podcast based around the theme of love.
Yeah. And I'm like over love themed Februaries.
Hear me out. My argument is we need more love in the world right now. There is not enough love being shown day to day. What we hear in the news is all about, especially the news coming from the States right now, but also in our own governments, thinking about the lack of love towards trans people, the lack of love towards queer people, lack of love towards people with disabilities. So I don't know why we wouldn't do an episode dedicating our love out to people who are suffering right now.
Yeah. I mean, I gave in, didn't I?
You did give it in. Yeah, here we are doing. So that's what we're doing today. An episode of love.
Well, didn't we discuss in the title? Not calling it love? That was the middle ground?
Yeah.
Navigating relationships.
Navigating relationships.
Through love.
Through love. Yes, that was what we were going to discuss today. So one of the things I think that we don't celebrate enough is platonic love. I think that what happens is romantic love gets prioritized over the love that can come and does come through friends. And I think that we idealize this version of romance and our partners become everything, all facets to us. And I think especially people who are neurodiverse, so I'll talk about myself with ADHD and thinking about the novelty, the impulsiveness, that can put a lot of pressure onto relationships. And I definitely feel that that my neurodiversity has impacted on some relationships that I've had.
Yeah, I mean, 100% my neurodivergent tendencies has impacted any relationship I have, actually. I think I do have the typical autistic friendships where I cannot speak to you for like months, but in my head we're still like best friends. Whereas someone would be like, we haven't spoken or seen each other in like 6 months or a year. And that doesn't diminish the value of the relationship, because I know the time spent with that person is like, I'm like so present, like so there, like 100% in that time. And it's so valuable for me that when I'm doing something else, in my head, when we're not no longer friends, we're still friends, we're just doing other stuff.
Hilariously, when people used to be like, oh no, yeah, you're a true friend when you cannot see each other for 6 months and then you just pick up like when you left off.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not best friendship. That's a neurodivergent relationship. That's every ADHD person or person with ASD. Like, we just do that all the time.
Yeah. Like my friendships are based on, I'll be doing something like, oh, I haven't heard from that person in a while. I'll text them. And then it's like, do you want to meet up for dinner or something? I haven't seen that person in a year. and it will be like we've been speaking every day.
Mm.
And I don't know about the other people, but that's like super valuable. And I think a lot of my friends know that part of me, and they're not like, oh, like you never text me, you never call me. Like if they need help, I'm probably the first person they call because I'll just be there. But on a day to day, we're probably not talking as often, and that's also okay.
But I think there's two things with that. One, it puts pressure on romantic relationships. So I think that because I just kind of accidentally forget about some friendships, or maybe I don't nurture new relationships or old relationships as much as I could. If someone's too far down in my messages, all of a sudden I've forgotten they exist until they pop back up, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's definitely meet up. Or like, I don't know why we haven't spoken in so long, and it's just because they're too far down to have my attention on my messages list. But I think then by proxy of that, it means that the romantic people in our lives, because they are at the top of that messaging list, they take a lot more of the focus and some of the focus away from other friendships that could be celebrated and should be celebrated. And I think for me that means that it puts a bit more pressure on romantic relationships. I have to be mindful to be like, oh no, there are other people in my life, and I have to spread out the wealth of my love to make sure that there's not so much pressure on the like 3 people at the top of my messaging list.
I understand. I get what you mean. There are definitely people that I say have like the AAA pass. You're prioritizing their messages.
AAA, hold on. What are we basing this on? Like, is it like food, like Michelin star, or what's like, you're like, what is it?
So, like, when you're doing a show, it's like access all areas. So, like, AAA, like, you'll get a backstage pass and it would say access all areas.
All right.
That's like your triple,
right, okay.
like, you're like,
triple A.
Triple A is like, if you message me, I'll probably message you within like the hour, or if I'm doing something, you're probably the first person I'm going to message back out of 10 messages. So you have those people, and they will be a handful of people. Obviously, you can't have like 10 people with a AAA pass.
All right, popular.
But like, and then you just like, so you have, that's your inner circle. And then you have people that are maybe in a circle, but they're close, but not like I don't know how to describe this.
Double A?
Like a double A. Access all. No, area. All areas.
Well, no, that's a triple A.
All areas is 2 A's.
Well, they don't have all areas because you're not like immediately messaging them. They might just get access areas.
Yeah, access areas. Yeah.
It's almost like layers.
Yeah,
Triple A is under your skin kind of layers, like laid bare. Just access areas is like you get the top level, you get above the skin.
That's not a good analogy.
Fair.
Yeah. Like one of my closest friends, we've known each other for decades. I would only probably see her twice a year if we make a conscious effort. Sometimes it's only once a year, and we're trying to be better, but we're just really busy. But if you get us on the phone, we will talk until the actual phone line cuts us off, and then we have to call each other back, and that's 3 hours we've worked out. So we'll just like talk consistently all day, but we don't have to see each other, and we also don't text like every day either. So when we call, it's about something, and then we'll catch up at the same time, and then we don't talk for maybe 2 months. And I know what you mean, like romantic partners get the brunt of it mostly, but that's because they're probably your priority people.
I just think we could do more to big up our platonic friendships, give those AAA people in our lives the same status, because they're the people you're gonna, if things fall down, you know.
Yeah.
Could we go on like dates with our like platonic friends?
100%.
Yeah.
I hate having friends where you're like, you can only hang out with them when you're in a good mood.
Mm.
Or like, yeah, like it's, for me, like a friendship, like you can show up as you are.
So it just makes me really think we have within society a loneliness pandemic at the moment, especially within Western cultures. You know, thinking about when you said about friendships, and I think it's interesting. There's two things that come up for me. One is when I was thinking back to probably a lot of the time before my 40s, took me a really long time to feel comfortable in myself. And I think a lot of that was thinking about my neurodiversity and just always feeling a little bit like I never quite fit anywhere. I remember just being out with like friends or work colleagues and always just feeling slightly removed, like I was just a little bit different to everyone. And I do think that a large part of that was due to not understanding my neurodiversity, not understanding I am a little bit different to a lot of people, and that's okay. And it took really until I I've got into my 40s to really say I can go anywhere and I now feel comfortable with who I am. But that's, half of my life feeling uncomfortable in situations and kind of masking that in order to fit in.
Yeah.
Is some of that due to, some of the loneliness due to people feeling like they don't fit in because of neurodiversities and not understanding the spaces they're in.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. And I think I remember saying to you quite often in the past how, and sometimes it does feel like it, like you're in a crowded room, but you're still lonely. And yeah, like you're right. I do have friends, but I also still do feel lonely. And I think this is a question. Could the loneliness pandemic be fueled by social media? Like the lack of person to person contact and the growth of technology and devices, because the more devices that we have, we become present in the device, but we're not present in our physical form. We're not present in the room with the people that we're in or in the room with us. And we probably socialize a lot less. We're probably doing a lot less things that are in our bodies. We're doing a lot more head stuff. So it could be fueling anxiety and fueling depression, which is also a comorbidity as well. So like that's what I'm also wondering is like we're scrolling through Instagram, we could feel lonely because we're judging ourselves to the people that's in the screen rather than picking up the phone and being present with someone. And it doesn't mean that you have to do stuff, but you can at least just talk, like have a face-to-face conversation and talk about how you're feeling. Hey, I'm feeling lonely, or yeah, it's a question.
I think there's lots of factors around why the loneliness pandemic is there. I think the lack of loss of community, loss of religion, they're two big reasons to change in how we are set up as a society. We're encouraged to be individualistic. We're encouraged to have individual ownership.
Thoughts, like individual thoughts.
Well, that's not what I mean. Hold on. So we're encouraged to have individual things so that big corporation gets us to buy more. Because if we collectively own something, let's say we, I don't know, share a phone, right? They've only sold one phone. But if you and me buy a phone, then we've got a phone each, and they've made twice the amount of profit.
Yeah.
So that's why there's a big impact on big business to promote individualization over collectivity, over community, over group belonging. Because actually then there's a pool of resources, and that then goes against the idea of individualism, which funds capitalism, essentially.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, and like just thinking back on how we used to be very tribal. So we used to be very community focused, and we would move around in tribes. We worked, not us, our ancestors. I can see your brain ticking.
Yeah, because I'm talking about the 60s. You're talking about like the freaking 160s. I mean, even before that. So hold on. The region that you're talking about is millions and millions of years ago. I'm talking about a change that's happened within the last 100 years, within the last 60 years.
Yeah, like this change,
and that's crazy. So
in our lifetime, but also like
well,
okay,
not
let's
my
talk.
lifetime.
Let's talk
I'm
about,
only 40, babe. I'm not 60.
all right, in our parents' lifetime,
In our
and
parents'
grandparents' lifetime.
Yeah.
But okay, let's go back to your period. But even then, in our grandparents' and our parents' lifetime, there was a strong element of community.
Great.
I mean, in our lifetime, you went to the library to use a computer. You didn't have a laptop.
No.
So there's an element of community. You're going to one place to get information, and everyone's doing the same thing. You know, there were books, you would have conversation with random people. There was community there. In our parents' lifetime, they all banded together. They all helped each other. They knew everyone on the road. They would have street parties. That's how Notting Hill Carnival came about. Everyone knew each other and they looked out for each other. Right now, I mean, apart from my building WhatsApp, if I saw these people in real life, I wouldn't know who they are. I know their WhatsApp. I can message them and be like, does anyone have, I don't know, a plunger or something? And someone would be like, oh, I live at this door number. And that's about it. I know their name, but I don't know them, and I don't know their family, and I don't know who they are and what they stand for. And that's the bits that we are missing now that our parents and our grandparents had, is the element of community. And they would share things. Well, my grandparents are passed now, but like they used to tell us when there was just one phone for the whole building, and they would share that one like payphone or whatever it was. And I'm like, wow, like everyone's got a phone now. Can you imagine? Like, that's insane.
I think there is a big change in times, because you think that that's post-war. You know, during war times, resources were pooled. You know, if you think there were like food rations that went on into the 50s, in order to, you know, get, you know, the bits that you needed, people had to share. And now we're in a society which glamorizes and grandirizes mass everything. We are constantly being sold to asked to consume more and more and more, consume and hoard more than we need. In order to promote big business. And actually what that means is that due to some people hoarding, there's not going to be enough to go around. And sadly, that's the same for wealth. It means that there will be some with mass wealth and some without any. Because the reality is that we're told we need these, you know, consumerist things to survive, which rather than just taking what we need to survive, we're encouraged to buy more and more and more, get newer and newer and newer, rather than kind of the premise of take only what you need. If everyone took just what they needed, there would be enough.
I completely agree with you on that. And like when you were saying that, I was trying to not butt in and do the ADHD thing of like, but I was thinking, do you think there are more recognizable neurodivergencies in the West compared to like third world countries because there is more individuality in the West, and that's promoting, you know, capitalism, and whereas third world countries, there's more community focus, so they're less, not so much emphasis on like the loneliness, but there is more community, so you don't see so much difference. Does that make sense? Like, is that like, I don't know. I got across what was in my mind.
So that actually, because there's so much more basis on community, where someone may be lacking in a specific place, someone else will be able to pick up the shortfall.
Yeah, because they're playing to their strengths.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I also don't know as in community where people are just doing more things like growing their own food.
Yeah.
Something that people with neurodivergencies would be quite good at. No, I'm just giving a broad brushstroke, obviously. So everyone with neurodiversity, everyone's obviously now a gardener. But it's something using our hands, being more creative, being proactive. I wonder whether they're skills that lean towards a neurodiverse disposition, because you're constantly moving, you're constantly doing new things, getting out in the garden or, growing food. And we're not made to sit behind a desk for 12 hours. I'll tell. This week, I made a massive error with the new business I'm starting. I went to order some business cards, which I thought were £15, and then ended up paying £84 in delivery because my neurodivergent brain just didn't see the delivery charge. Oh my God, I fell on the floor crying when I was like £99. How can I have just spent £100? £100, I'm still crying. I'm so annoyed with myself because it's just a absolute waste of money. But yeah, my neurodivergent brain didn't see that detail until it was too late. I don't know. Are people who are working more within community, are they still having those same difficulties? Maybe it's just less obvious.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. We can only speculate, but I know I work better when I'm in a team of people that are not even just in work, but if I'm writing a song or something like that, I work better with someone else or others to bounce back ideas and just throw things and see if it sticks. And it helps innovate quicker and problem solve a lot quicker. I think when I'm on my own, I tend to overthink the problem. So when I get to the solution, I'm like, oh, it was the first thing that came to my head, not the 10 millionth thing that came to my head. So I'm just basing that off how I work. I work better in a team of people that are actually, when I say a team of people, I don't mean 5 people in a room and then one person talking and the other person's just listening. I'm talking about 5 people in a room who are actually giving feedback and input and bouncing ideas. What do you think about this? I love what you're doing there, but have you tried thinking about this? How about we try this? That level of critical thinking I work better with than just going, yeah, do this on your own. I feel more neurodivergent when I'm not with people than when I'm with people.
Yeah, body doubling. I love body doubling. That's a big win.
Yeah.
I should never do anything like order anything on my own ever again, is what I've just learned here.
Run it past me.
Oh my God, I can't believe I did it. I'm absolutely like devastated. Tried to get a refund as well.
Well, they'll be well travelled.
Yeah. They won't give me a refund. Honestly, I'm crying inside.
Oh, well,
Anyway.
you live and learn.
Yeah.
So I'm like restricting myself on Instagram and any like news outlet, because every other thing that pops up on BBC is some child murdering another child, or some paedophile, or some man's axed his wife or something. Like, it's very like morbid. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna allow that energy into my life.
Fair. I like what you said earlier, though. I do think there's something around the use of social media creating loneliness and alienation from each other due to excessive amounts of time, like looking at screens. I don't think it has to be social media. I think actually it can be any screens. I think it can be laptop. I think it could be TV. I think it can be work.
Yeah. And I think
it creates us. It creates not solidarity. What's the word where you're on your own? No, it begins with an S. Can't remember. But it means that you're on your own for such a long amount of time.
Interestingly, do you feel alone when you are on your own by choice?
I can recognise if I've been online on the computer or on my phone for too long, I can recognise that I feel disengaged from the world. If I choose to, like, quite often I'll choose to have a weekend where I just turn my phone off, don't speak to anyone, like do some exercise in the house or meditation, bit of yoga, whatever, repot my plants. I'll feel more connected, even though I've been on my own, not speaking to anyone, often than I will have been from if I spend a whole day in front of the computer messaging people on WhatsApp.
Yeah, because when I'm on my own by choice, I'm like living my best life.
Yeah, but you're a Capricorn.
Like, I'm just like dancing around the house. I'm so productive. I'm doing all of the stuff. Even the stuff that I'm like, don't really feel like doing that on a normal day. Like, I'm just in it. Like, I'll go for a walk, go to the gym. And I realize this, if I'm on my own, not by choice, then I feel lonely. It's just like, oh, maybe that's some work I need to do. Oh, there's no one to like hang out with. Why doesn't anyone want to hang out with me? Yeah, it's an interesting one.
And do you think your neurodiversity it plays any impact in that?
I mean, yeah, I have to talk with my autism, with my ADHD, because sometimes I'm a little bit more autistic on some days and more ADHD, I think. When I'm having a, say, autistic day, yeah, like I want to be on my own. I don't want anyone to bother me. And even if we're in the same house, I would get really angry if you came into my space and started doing stuff or making noise, or like I get really spiky. And then sometimes, like when I'm having a more ADHD day, just jumping around. So I'll be like, oh yeah, like doing this. What did I do? Bother someone for whatever, and then like completely ignore them like halfway through a conversation. Yeah. So do I feel lonely? Sometimes. Although I don't know if I feel any more lonely than someone that's neurotypical. Because I have nothing to compare to.
That's a good point.
So I can only speak from my experiences.
It's a really good point, isn't it? I don't know if how I compare to neurotypical people, because I'm neurodiverse, so I don't know how that equates. We'd have to look at the stats.
Yeah. Or just like run a poll on like out of the days in the week. How many days a week do you feel lonely?
Here we go. If anyone wants to run a poll for us, we'd be open to.
Look at you delegating.
Yeah. we'd be open to having that, and we'll be talking about it at the end.
Yeah. I like, and just bringing it back to love, I think so. When I go to like workshops, all people want to do is be touched or hugged. And I think we don't touch or hug or show any form of affection. And I think we're so like far removed. We're so removed from touching someone and it not being, I'm going to say a word, I'm not sure if this is the right word, instigational. Like trying not to instigate something more than just, you okay, how are you feeling, you know?
It being platonic.
Yeah, like
trying to get to any specific goal.
Yeah. So without it being goal orientated, we're just not used to it. We're so far removed from it. And
But I don't think that's the same in every culture. I might say that's here in Western cultures. Like if, like, for instance, when I've gone to India or other cultures, they're much more used to just like casual touch. You'll see like men on the sofa with their arms around each other.
Yeah.
You know, I just think we don't have that same thought processes or habits of casual touch.
Yeah, 100%. Like even when like I went to Sri Lanka and like the doctors were so attentive and so loving. And I really honestly felt loved because I was just, my doctor would come every morning and be like, how are you? How are you feeling? And instantly when someone does that, it's like, I'm giving you all of my attention right now. I'm actually asking you, how are you? Not, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm asking, how are you? And I'm present and I actually care about how you feel. And that, you get the feeling of so much love from that. Can you imagine if we went through a day and everyone we said to, how are you? We actually just held them and was like, you know what? How are you, friend? How are you feeling? And really want a genuine answer rather than, yeah, I'm good. I'm okay. And you're like actually present in that. You would feel so loved and, well, sorry, they will feel so loved and you will feel so fulfilled. And we don't.
Yeah, I love that. I can feel that right down to my feet. Yeah. Being present and really attuned to what someone's saying and saying, I'm grounded here in myself and I care about you enough to ask, how are you, really?
Yeah. And it makes you feel seen. And I think that's what I struggle with, is that I feel that I'm not seen a lot. I mean, I'm 6'2", you can't miss me, but I still feel like I'm not seen.
Yeah.
So when someone does that, you're like, damn, you can see me. I'm not invisible. You care. You actually care. And that is just so fulfilling. So we need more of that, please.
Yeah, I can feel that in all of my bones. That process of being seen and really witnessing and seeing someone else and allowing them to feel truly seen in their entirety. It's just beautiful. And that, I think, is real love. Platonic love, romantic love, it doesn't come close to allowing someone to be there, all of themselves, and be seen with all of that. I think, yeah, just beautiful. And maybe that's what we're all essentially looking for when we say about love. It's that process of saying, do you know what, I've bared all this vulnerability and you're still here asking, how are you? And I'm really wanting to see and witness the answer of that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people could fall into this, oh, you've told me all your problems and I don't really care. Smile, walk off. Or you've told me all of your problems and now I have to take it on. And I think there's an element of boundariness and also holding space for whatever comes out of that person's mouth. Like, you don't have to take it on, but you also don't have to go, okay, that's a you problem, bye, and like move on. Like you just hold that space for them.
But that's tough, right? Holding space is one of the, because we fall into fix-it mode. What can I do to support you? Nothing. I don't want you to do anything.
Yeah.
I just need you to witness this. I just need to share, or I would just like to share. But then there's something really important in that witnessing position, making sure that when you are seeing someone, that you're in the right space to do that.
Yeah.
Because actually being grounded in yourself gives you that space to just hold whatever is going on and not feel like it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Just, have you seen that video that Brené Brown does? The difference between empathy and sympathy.
A TED Talk.
It's like a little video clip. I'll put the link into the comments. She talks about the difference between empathy and sympathy. And empathy is when someone's in a hole, climbing down into that hole and saying, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I've got no words. There's probably nothing I can say, but I just really appreciate you for sharing that. And that's empathy. Whereas it says sympathy is, oh God, that's really bad. Hope you figure it out. Or even worse, like silver lining it. Like, I don't know, for instance, if someone's lost their job, being like, oh, well, I'm sure you'll find another. Or at least you had a job. Like silver lining, I really dislike silver lining it. But it makes the person who's holding the emotion feel better. Yeah. Because actually those emotions are so big, and what hasn't happened is there hasn't been that conversation beforehand to say, actually, I've got quite a lot going on right now. Are you in a space where you're going to be able to hold like this for me?
And
and actually that person actually then checking in with themselves and figuring out whether they are in a position to do that, because they may not be. They may be like, oh man, I just heard that my aunt's in hospital, like there's no way I can hold this for someone else right now.
And that's also okay, right?
Yeah,
like it's also okay. Like, look, I don't know if I can show up in a way that can be supportive right now, so can like, can we make time to do it tomorrow or whatever that may be? But being honest with how you feel in that moment and not having to forcefully hold that space if you're not in a place to hold the space. You don't have to feel obliged to it.
Yeah. And that is love.
Yeah.
That's self-love. I've watched something beautiful the other day which said self-care originally was an act of activism. Self-care came out of the radical feminist movement of the 60s.
I think we read the same thing.
Oh yeah, probably. You probably sent it to me or I sent it to you, one or the other. But actually, we should be thinking of self-care. Self-care isn't wellness. Self-care is a radical act that says, do you know what? I'm going to love myself so that I can love others.
Yeah. Like, how could you help someone fill their cup if your cup is not filled?
Yeah.
Like, you need to look after you before you can start pouring into other people's cups.
Yeah. And actually part of that radical self-care is radical honesty, is knowing when we've got capacity and when we haven't got capacity, and being able to speak up.
Yeah, it's a lot of self-learning.
It's a lot of self-learning. So thank you so much for listening. We love you. Happy Valentine's Day. Just remember, show your friends love as well as all your romantic partners. I hope you have.
Show up to your friends more than your romantic partners, I say.
Yeah.
Because those are your roots. Your romantic partner can come in and come out, but your friends are going to be there forever.
Yeah. All right. Sending all the love. Next, we are going to be talking about mental health, mental well-being, emotional well-being. So
I think we touched on it.
Yeah, we touched on it today. Yeah. So yeah. Sending all the love.
See ya.